Hello, good day. And this is Uloma Ashu, fondly called the Green Conscious Mama. And I sincerely want to welcome those of you who have subscribed to my channel. I have been wanting to do this for a long time, and I just told myself there will never be a convenient time, so just get to it. And that's how the vlog came to life. Let me sing for those of you who have just subscribed to the vlog. Welcome here, welcome here, welcome here. Welcome here, welcome here, welcome here. So welcome to Green Conscious Mama's channel. And today I don't want to say too much, but I just want to go straight to the point. I want to share my message. I want to share my story. How I found myself, preaching the sustainability message, promoting green consciousness, just teaching people subconsciously or consciously how to live, conscious of the environment and don't just live anyhow, how to live responsible. That's the word. So this is my story. It's such an emotional story, and I think the more people hear about it, the more they'll be motivated to live responsibly. That's the thing. That's the truth. My mom told me a story, which is actually her reality. Before I was born, they used to live in a very beautiful environment somewhere in Lagos at that time. But my father was robbed, or my parents were robbed even before I was born. My mom was seriously pregnant with my older sister, and then there was need for them to change apartment. They needed to just leave that environment. And so they moved to this estate somewhere in Egbeda area. This estate had beautiful duplexes and then surrounded by beautiful barracks. You had police quarters, you had army, you had naval, just mention is shipping council, all of that. So it was a safe place for people to live at that time because, like they would say, people who even go out to rob live in that environment, but they cannot rob there because of it was a very sensitive place and surrounded with security men and all of that. It was good for them to live at that time. And a few years down the line, I was born. I remember living in that environment for over 15 years of my life at that time. So my parents saw this beautiful house, a duplex, and then we stayed. It was convenient, it was comfortable. But along the line, our outer environment became an eyesore. You know, I remember very clearly, by the time I was 6, I had developed, respiratory illnesses because I couldn't even explain it. My parents couldn't even explain it. I was a child, but I was suffering. I would have shortness of breath. I couldn't breathe properly. I couldn't. You could even feel me struggling to breathe. I would eat something, and then before you know, I'm having a crisis, that kind of a thing. It was terrible. Imagine at a very tender age, I already had fears of death. I already started having feeling that how about I sleep one day and I don't wake up. It was such a bad experience for me. Why? Because there was a vacant land just within 15 minutes from my apartment or my house. That everyone, just imagine everyone in that estate coming to drop, or in that environment coming to drop their trash on that land. And over time, it built up into it. As I speak to you now, I can imagine what it looked like. It was so tall. It was a mountain. I'm telling you, it was a mountain. And the only way they managed it at that time was to set it on fire. So you could have plastic, you could have paper, you could have whatever you can think of, metals, everything, organic waste mixed up together and burning for weeks. It could burn for 2 weeks straight. And as these things begin to burn, the emission is not good for us. The greenhouse gases it releases into the air is not good for our health. And as a child, my school wasn't too far away from the house, so I would walk from my house to school. Imagine doing this with my siblings. So I was a very fragile child, and somehow along the line, this thing hit me. I became terribly sick. In school, I couldn't participate in sports. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't, when it's break time, they would tell me to stay in the class and have my lunch and read my book. It was a bad experience for me. My parents would go in and out of different hospitals. Sometimes, even on my bed days, I will be on the hospital bed taking treatment and all of that, and they were really bothered because my father's family didn't have asthma or whatever. My mother's family didn't have asthma or whatever. But, I was suffering it and they couldn't tell where this was coming from. And then over the years, God healed me. I know God healed me. It was a terrible experience and I know only God could have healed me. Few years ago, about 5 years, 5 years, 6 years ago, I wanted to find out what was the cause. And so I began to do research. And while, browsing through the net, I realized that the things I suffered was as a result of the inappropriate way those wastes were managed while I was living in that environment. I realized that was what was causing me the serious problem I had suffered as a young girl, even into my teenage days. I was shocked when I found a report from United Nations, a report they had done that states that 1 in every 5 child in Nigeria, die as a result of environmental pollution impact on their lives. So, and I was shocked when I found out. I said, maybe that was why I had serious respiratory issues, And then I fell on my knees. I was like, God, thank you, I survived. I could have made that statistics. I could have died, but you kept me. You saved me. And this is my own way, of, giving back. I just took it that the reason God kept me is for a purpose. And everything I do is about God, but I find a way of connecting every other thing I do to God. And that's how I found myself in the sustainability space. I began to talk about it. I began to teach people about it. I created a platform, an enterprise that allow people monetize their waste if they separate them properly and all of that. And so don't get offended. Sometimes I feel like what I'm doing is strange and it looks like people are finding it difficult to understand this thing. But thank you so much to all of you who send me messages and said, Uloma, because of these things you share, because of these things you speak about so passionately, I find myself beginning to live very consciously. I find myself beginning to live, conscious of my environment and not wanting to spoil all of it and all of that. So this is why I preach the sustainability message, this eco-consciousness, green living. My son told me one day, he said, Mommy, I think that day there was a serious flood somewhere in Suleja and it had affected some families, even babies had died. And my son said to me, Mommy, if you don't take care of the environment, it will come after you. And that is what I want to do now. And that is what I have been doing anyway. So thank you so much for staying true. That's my message. And I hope this touches you to begin to live consciously, how you use resources, how you dispose your waste. Don't say my house is clean, but you come out of your house and the trash you sweep in your house, you put them in the drainage. Because I definitely had seen people do that. I was driving past and I saw someone sweep trash from my house and put them in the drainage, which is actually supposed to help, allow for the free flow of water during rainy season and all of that. So why will you sweep trash in your house and put them in the drainage? So until we come to that consciousness that we are not separated from our environment, we are not separated from our environment. The environment is us. So we have to defend it. We have to defend it. That's the word. We have to protect it. Everything we do, we have to be conscious of the environment. So thank you so much for staying true. I'll come see you again next week. Thank you. I like to read your comments. I like to get a message from one of you or two of you or as many of you to say that this actually got to you. Thank you for staying true and bye. See you next week.